the state has given us a raise. But the devil in the detail, what the state gives us, we have to match it. So if we don't receive the funding from the city, as well as state, federal, we are not able to provide those additional dollars to provide a raise for our staff. So again, the funding that we receive from the state, we had to match that. So with the city approving the budget, we will be able to match the funding received from the state. So our support staff will receive a raise. Also, it will include, and the breakdown is by the priority in the strategic plan. It's a 5-year strategic plan. So this is the first year funding to support the strategic plan. And as I previously stated, it's a 5-year plan. RPS has often been accused of, you ask for funding, but you don't have a plan. We have a plan, and we presented it to the city, and we had numerous community meetings, so it was clearly a community-driven plan, and we presented the plan. We made the hard decisions by cutting $13 million in central administration, central office. I've heard comments from the community, you should have cut more. But we're in the marrow, the bone. So I think we made some major changes that will have the least impact to the classroom, but also in the strategic plan to provide more rigor for our students. Technology, because our infrastructure is broken. Our computer system, we are dealing with a system that was operating in the 1980s. This is 2019. So technology, as you know, is constantly changing. So those are some of the breakdown as far as the strategic plan in the handout that I provided for you. Also, we have received $19 million in the funding year 2020 budget as far as the capital improvement projects. And as you know, in the past, on average, we have received $1.5 million to maintain our school buildings. And if you know anything about maintenance, that's a drop in the bucket. Because one school could wipe their money out. Two chillers at a high school or at any of our schools, if they have a chiller, say more than one chiller, that money is gone. So what I provided you, some of the schools in our district that directly impact us, and the schools that we feed into. Because the 8th district, we feed into Huguenot, Georgeville, and Armstrong high schools. So I provided you a breakdown on some of the projects for those schools, as well as Bouchard. Now, as far as our elementary schools, those are new buildings, but they're still minor maintenance. And so as a part of our request and receiving the funding, the request funding, we have accountability measures in place. We have started the rezoning process, and I would like to thank our community members that have agreed to serve on our rezoning committee. Shannon Gonzalez, thank you so much, and Tia Red. They will represent the 8th District, is serving on the rezoning committee. And their voices will be heard, and we will be well represented. In our first community meetings for rezoning, if you see in your handout, is scheduled for May 30th. I'm looking at the dates for myself because I know I have it. And I don't want to tell you wrong. Right. So the community meetings as well as the rezoning committee meeting. So please share with members that you know in the district to attend, because as Brady said, our voices need to be heard, because a lot of times we are the silent voices. I'm going to do my part to advocate on behalf of our district, but I can't do it alone. I need everyone to stand with me, because the squeaky wheel, they make the loudest noise, but they, in most cases, are the smallest population in our school division. They make up the smallest population in our school division. So again, we need to be engaged in the community process to make sure our voices are heard and to make sure that we are not left out. So another accountability measure, we will be receiving a presentation at our June school board meeting to start the conversation, put in place a balanced scorecard. And the public will be able to access that balanced scorecard once the board makes any adjustments to it before it goes live. But again, that presentation will be given to us next month. And in that balanced scorecard, measurable objectives to see if our children are reading on grade level. How many advanced placement courses are in our high schools? Are our children on-time graduation rates? So those are just many of the measurable objectives that will entail in the balanced scorecard. Also, attendance. That is huge. That's part of our memorandum of understanding that we have to address with the state. We need each and every child to be in school, because if you're not in school, you're not learning. And if you're not in school, there are important, you're missing out. So we need to get the word out, encourage our parents to make sure that our children are attending school. Because if they don't attend school, we're getting dinged for that attendance rate. And so we received a report, the two schools that have made the biggest gain as far as attendance, Armstrong High School and MLK Middle School. Now, as far as the high schools that directly impact us, which is Armstrong, has made the greatest improvement as far as the high school, but there's two high schools that we feed into, Huguenot and Georgeville, there's work. There's work that we need to make, and we need to get the word out. Our students need to be in school. Our children need to be in school.
So do we know on the high school level if this lack of attendance is due to transportation or teen homelessness, and they just don't have the availability to get to school? I mean, I can see saying how important it is to be in school, but there has to be another reason given their age, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
you know, that they're not there. So I don't know if the district has looked into finding them, you know,
Yes.
those issues.
So we have, looking into those factors to see what's attributing to some of our students not attending school. And so that's why it's important that we have that community engagement, visiting the homes to see exactly what is going on. And in some cases, school is not a priority, and I'm keeping it real. And it could be a cultural thing. This education is just not a focus. And so we have to keep stressing the importance of attending school.
How often will the balance card be issued? Balance scorecard, how often will it be?
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
Right now, but if you all need to see it more, but it will be on the website that you will have access to it. Francis.
What the superintendent was talking about this week regarding the graduation rate in Richmond. Can you shed some highlight on that? Exactly how many students are you all expecting to graduate this year?
So, as I've stated, I haven't been here, but based on some knowledge that I do have, so if I've shared with you before, we have had issues with our transcripts, and they have completed the work for correcting the senior transcripts. They are now in the process of correcting our juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, so they have gone through that at least twice thus far. So the information that I have received, we are possibly looking at approximately maybe 36 students at George Smith and 36 students at Huguenot that may be at risk for graduation. But measures have been put in place. Summer school, the students have been identified on the subjects that they need to graduate, as well as SOL testing. So measures have been put in place to support our students, such as summer school, credit recovery. So they have been notified, and the parents.
So question, these 36 students per school, were they thinking that they were graduating this year? Or did this have a lot to do with the transcript? Because I'm used to when I was in school, a counselor spoke to you. He or she made sure that you were on track. So was this, no one to point fingers, did the counselor not do their job in informing these students about this or what? Because I don't think the students should be penalized. If this is the fact, you know, if this is the case.
I don't want to put the blame all on the counselors.
Mm-hmm.
It's everyone.
Okay.
So this has been uncovered since being on the board this time.
Last year?
2015.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are issues that we have uncovered that we have to correct.
Okay.
And it will be corrected. And we've had students in courses, not in the right courses. They've been placed in courses incorrectly, and I'm sure they were aware of it. Not the student, but the adults.
Is it still the same way, like business, academic in general? It is all that has been wiped
So
out?
we have general education,
Mm-hmm.
right, and then we have the career and technical. So we have had credit issues with our career and technical education courses. It's a number. It's been a number. We've done our babies a disservice. And as I have previously stated, we have had to correct over 1,500 transcripts for just the seniors. That's not counting juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. Yes. And we have been working with the state as far as to receive waivers, but again, if you don't put the necessary measures in place or the rigor in place, we're setting our students up to fail. So that's why they have been notified and measures have been put in place to support them so that they can graduate. Any other questions?
Yes, I just have a statement and maybe a couple questions along the same line. I'm really glad that you brought that up in response to Ms. Scott's question, because just from teaching in high school alone, I know that a lot of times when the freshmen come in, they may not have the skill set that they need to enter into high school courses. For example, if it's an earth science, which is typically a 9th grade course, instead of coming in and taking earth science, they take ecology, which they do not have an SOL test for. And prior to this year, they had to take, get at least one SOL science verified credit. Now it's biology. So if you take courses that don't lead up to that, by the time you get to 12th grade, you may in fact not have a chance to even pass, even with the expedited retake if you're a senior. Also, but along those lines, Don, summer school this year is not for acceleration, it's only for those students who have failed the SOL test. So for those students who may be challenged with that and who wanted to have the option to take a class over the summer and take the SOL attached to it, was that simply an administration decision to not allow summer school to be for acceleration, and now parents have to pay a neighboring jurisdiction $600 or so if they want their child to accelerate or even get on grade level?
So I have had some questions regarding that, but right now the focus has been to ensure that our seniors that need to graduate, the support is there for them. Now, in your handout, you'll see the summer school schedule and the schools that will be holding summer school this summer. So summer school will take place from June through July. And you'll see the locations of the summer school sites. But also just to expand on the safeguards for the transcript. So measures have been put in place, proactive data monitoring to align and approve course offerings, a clear process for error correction and scheduling, and academic advising. So we know where that falls on our counselors, but also we have to understand our counselors are doing more than advising. The role of the counselor is more than just focusing on academic, personal, and the social domain for counseling. We need more support staff to really support our students, and also a training and institutional knowledge. We need better training for our counselors as well as our teachers, so that they can be prepared and equipped to support our students.
And so I hear you saying, it's not all on the counselors, but is there any way the district can make available for parents to know what is required for high school? For those of us that are actively engaged and want to, achieve the ultimate goal here, obtaining your high school diploma, I wouldn't solely rely on the counselor, but right now, if I were to go to the district site, I don't even know where to look to find, this information. As the lady said here, to think that, by taking an ecology class, that's meeting the science requirements for graduation. If there's any way possible we can make that available so parents also can
Right.
advocate and be informed. I wouldn't want to come in May and find out my child isn't graduating.
Exactly. and that's a good question because I was the same way. So the course offerings is one way that you can keep track of the courses that are needed and required. Also, you can go into the Virginia Department of Education website to see how many verified credits that they need for each grade and what diplomas meet what requirements meet the diplomas, whether it's a standard or verified or advanced diploma. So that information is on the DOE website, and if you bringing that up, that's something we probably should add to our website to make it easily accessible.
And I think y'all are approving it at the next meeting, June 30th, and they approve the next program study.
Yes.
So once they approve it, it'll be approved.
I think that would help a lot, because the parent really doesn't know what is the, what is it, we say, what is it, not grade now? Not in high school, it was 10th in high school. But, we knew.
Exactly.
We knew exactly, we knew how many credits we were supposed to be receiving.
You're right.
Exactly.
Because my counselor didn't have to tell me. I knew that I was going to graduate.
Because you had the paper and all. So if each student and parent knew what they were supposed to be taking per grade, are you general, are you business, or you college? I knew that I had to have 4 years of foreign language in order to go to college.
Right.
And everything. So that's what they need to know. So when they come in, they are happy. Right at hand, so there's no excuse. So you know from year to year, yes, this is where I am. Do I need to go to summer school or what? In order for me to come out on time, if that's their way of thinking.
In the press release,
Use a mic.
I didn't want to-
Use the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Person with the mic's in
In
charge.
the press release,
In the press conference, he had mentioned, Mr. Cameron had mentioned that the program of studies was a little bit delayed because they had to send it up to VDOE to make sure that they check every course and make sure that the codes were right, everything was right, and then it's supposed to go to them at the next board meeting, and then once it's approved, then it'll be released to the public.
Yes.
How active is PTA in helping that?
Some of our schools,
what was the question?
How active is the PTA in helping the school?
we do not have as active PTAs as we can in comparison to some of the schools in the district. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You see more participation on the elementary level, but you see the drop off in middle school and high school. I was a parent. I was involved in middle and high school, and I guess my kids called me the helicopter parent, and I was like, whatever. But there are more distractions in our middle and high schools, and we need to be more so involved in middle school and high school because of those distractions. So if you have friends, family members with children in middle and high school, by all means, you need to be involved. And when the teachers see you, they know you mean business. And I'm keeping it real. There was another question.
I just want to, this is just a comment on the credit situation and the mess that we had in Richmond about the graduation rates. Those 36 children or young people that are maybe not graduating this time, not all those 36 kids are caught up in a transcript problem. I taught Chesterfield for 34 years, and I tell you, every year in high school, every year, it's like, oh, what do you mean my child's not going to graduate? And, we've been telling that parent for 4 years, every grading period, they never came to back to school night, they never answered the telephone calls, they never looked at the emails, they never, so sometimes the responsibility does not fall on the counselor or the teachers, it falls directly on the parents, or it falls directly on the child. So there's always going to be some children who, no matter how hard we try to make them learn, or help them be successful, we're just not going to succeed, or they're not going to succeed. But on the other hand, that doesn't excuse any of the mess about the transcripts. But, you know, when we talk about are the counselors not doing their job, there may be a counselor or two who are not doing their job, but I think there's, you know, there's plenty of people to share the blame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plenty of people, and I'm glad it's been uncovered, because if it had not been uncovered, who knows? Who knows? But you're exactly right. And I'm sure information has gone home through the marking periods that indicated the red flags. Hey, what's going on here? I need to investigate this. So, and I'm a counselor by profession. So by no means am I blaming the counselors, but it's enough room to go around. But again, these issues were taking place in 2015, pre-me. And just another example, at TJ, we found uncovered that all of the AP classes in TJ have been removed because they have the IB program, the International Baccalaureate. One doesn't have anything to do with the other. How that was approved, I don't understand that. But that's just one example of one of the things that we've uncovered with our courses.
Yes, I have a question. My oldest granddaughter goes to Albert Hill. Thank you. My oldest granddaughter goes to Albert Hill. And could you explain to me, because I don't remember my daughter telling me of any correspondence that came home about some kind of program that's set up where the teachers take part in it and maybe come do a home visit or anything like that. And it's something that the superintendent is trying to pilot. So do you know anything about that?
So those are some of the piloted programs, the home visit. And so the teachers will be receiving training before. So in some places it has started, but training still needs to be done to ensure that we are making home visits being addressed appropriately.
Okay. I don't really know that much about it. I've just heard about it.
Right, so you should be receiving information for the start of the next school year.
Don, you were talking about the teachers.
Will be required for home training, for home visits and all.
Just not the teachers, I'm just saying teachers, but all of the staff in the school will receive training.
Okay, because I'm just looking at some of the areas that I would not go myself. So you putting, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say, you putting somebody's life in jeopardy to go down to Hillside Court, where they're dodging bullets and everything down there, that some of them is too afraid, and then you want a teacher or someone within the school system to go see why little Johnny is not performing the way that he or she should be performing. You know, and we all want all of our kids to perform, right? But for something like that, I think that's a little too far stretch. You know, I'm just looking at the safety of the individual.
So,
now would the superintendent himself go down there?
Yeah.
yes,
He would?
and Ms. Waller, the principal of the Charles, she goes to
Okay, then.
Hillside Court
Okay.
often. I've been in
You've been-
Hillside Court as well. But safety is first. Safety is our number one priority. So if we are aware that there are some issues, by no means will we send our staff.
Gotcha.
to.
One more
put them
question, and I'm not gonna ask you anything else.
You're fine.
None of the representatives who were supposed to be in here today are here, and hopefully, I was hoping that one of them would be able to answer this question. Now, state gives Richmond Public School a certain amount of money, just like the surrounding counties. Is it that the other surrounding counties, Henrico, Chesterfield, and Hanover, receive a lot more money per kid than Richmond?
So it's based on per pupil. And so they have larger districts in comparison to RPS, but also we have to, so the state funding that we receive supports our at-risk population to ensure on an elementary level, classroom sizes are smaller, also pre-K. So any of the at-risk programs, that's what helps support the state funding that we receive. Also, one thing to take in consideration, our high concentration of poverty in the urban school environment. And it's not just a Richmond problem, this is a nationwide problem. I just heard on the news this morning, they were talking about other urban localities that, so with SAT scores, I'm sure you already have heard that on the news, that they have changed or added a scoring mechanism for based on your poverty. I don't know all the details, but you receive some extra points.
Where you live.
Yeah, where you live. But I just heard one student was saying that because if you have a disability, you receive, and you have those accommodations in your IEP, you may receive extra timing for the SOLs. But I just heard one student on the news on CNN, he was saying students that live in a more affluent area, their parents have allowed the doctors to label that child as being ADD so that they can receive extra time on the SATs. And there's nothing wrong with them, but they have a doctor that has signed off on it so that they can receive extra time on the SATs. So, say Dawn in Richmond Public Schools don't meet any of those categories, got to maintain or do that test, complete the SAT in the time frame.
Don, I have a question for you. I see that y'all have attract more male teachers of color. Can you talk about the importance of that and the efforts that you all are using to attract more male teachers of color?
So that's one of the initiatives in the strategic plan. And if you look at studies, men of color are more, I'm not going to say more, but they do have an impact, a positive impact on our children, especially our young males, positive role models. And so that is one of the initiatives in the strategic plan.
So what are you all going to do to that?
Incentives to encourage, so like our National Teacher of the Year, Rodney Robinson, he's a part of that initiative in promoting to encourage more men of color to join the educational field, and having also to strengthen our partnership with Virginia Union, Virginia State, as well as VCU, U of R, to attract more men of color. And so, not too long ago, Virginia Union announced their partnership with the Richmond Public Schools, providing scholarships for students in the 8th grade upon graduation if they apply and attend Virginia Union. They receive a scholarship.
So that's giving them enough time to get themselves together and the parents and to concentrate on what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And if they
Want
want
to apply to Virginia Union, they have a full scholarship. I mean, you can't beat that. You know, just like the billionaire paid the student loans for Morehouse College.
So that's one initiative. Another initiative to strengthen our partnership with higher ed.
Dawn, I just want to say, like, you know, we a lot of us in this room have been with you through this struggle, and I just want to thank you publicly for how you advocate for our children. You did not let it down on the mayor, let up on the mayor. You did not let up on Mr. Cameron. You made sure that they lobbied for this funding, and I just want to applaud you because it means a lot to see, especially to see the 8th district representative representing us in a way where you're fighting for our children. And thank you for that.
And thank you for the support. And my belief, my 3 children had a good experience in RPS. They have all graduated. My oldest, she graduated from BCU. She's now teaching in Petersburg Public Schools. My twins are in their 2nd year in college. They've had good experience, and I want that same experience for every child in Richmond Public Schools, because I know it can happen. And I know people ask me, why you keep doing this? So I want to make a difference. And these children, now biologically mine, but they still my children. And I believe in our children, and we all believe in our children. And I know we all believe in our children, because if we don't believe in them or we don't advocate for them, who will? I hear some of my kids' friends, they would say, they don't expect us to win. We don't have the resources. That broke my heart. It's a mind. It's a mindset. And you have to believe in yourself. And we talk about athletics. We talk about student athlete. Because we know athletics is a game changer. And like I said, I thank the mayor for having his vision, and I did not want us, it was my hope that we did not engage in the infighting as we have done in the past. And because at the end of that infighting, our children have continuously lost out. And I did not want to be a part of that. And like I said, it's a start.
I'm hoping that this is a start. Our kids have heard so much negative stuff. You know, when you continue to hear, you know, like,
Richmond Public Schools not doing this. These kids, you know, one of the town hall meetings we went to, and that gentleman who stood, and he said when he moved into Richmond, he moved up somewhere near Huguenot. He don't know why the reason they built the new Huguenot, because they're not passing. Well, that's someone who never cared in the first place. And then we need to also look at who is running for office, regardless of whether it is school board or city council. What good are you going to do for the city? You grew up here in the city. You knew the city. You knew the education you received, and you still want your kids to receive the same type of education that you receive, or even better. So maybe we need to change the mindset of the city of Richmond that you cannot run for office until you have lived here for 10 years, especially coming out. Because you look at the people who are sitting on city council and everything else. A lot of them don't know about the city. A lot of them don't know what the city of Richmond has gone through. you know. So when segregation started, people, the white folks, they left. They took the kids out of school, parochial school, or either private school. We still have parents that doing the private schools. But then if you look at the state requirements, it's supposed to be someone who has graduated from college. But those are not the ones who are sitting at home teaching their kids, not whatsoever. But as long as you pass the state test, that's fine and dandy. But someone need to be compassionate, whether they're on city council, because to me, your counterpart should be working with you for the 8th district. To make our 8th district strong, to be proud of our kids and everything. And our kids can hold their heads up and say, I'm a product of Richmond Public Schools.
And to your point, the SOLs, that is just the minimum requirement. And it's one thing I always shared with my kids when they had to take the SOLs. That's just information that you have learned all year. It's the minimum requirement. Our expectation, raising the bar, we should be up here. Because I tell you, our children will rise to the occasion every time. You set the bar high, they will meet you and exceed it. So, but again, I just want to thank you all for your support and ride by Green Elementary School to see the work of the new school and also the site for the middle school on Hall Street. But I'm telling you, and I hear people often say, oh, I don't have children in Richmond Public Schools. You may not have a child, but your tax dollar is going to Richmond Public School based on city funding. So you should be engaged in the process. And our voices, and another point, rezoning. For instance, you talked about people moving out the district. People moving out the district, not because they don't like the city of Richmond, they move out the district or decide to go to other schools because of our school system. And a lot of times, people don't like to be in an urban environment. I'm just keeping it real, but we live in a melting pot. So diversity is a good thing. And our rezoning, this would be a comprehensive rezoning plan, because we have not had a comprehensive rezoning since busing. That was the 70s. So I just want to personally and publicly thank Shannon and Tia for the willingness to serve. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm just putting it out there because we have to rezone this entire district, and I'm going to be honest with you, rezoning is not going to solve all of our issues in the south side because we're bursting at the seams. And I've stated this before, the trailers at Broad Rock and Green, that's a whole nother school. But it's my goal, and I hope you all stand with me, to get rid of those trailers on the site of Broad Rock, because that was not the intended use of that land. The intended use of that land was for our children to learn and play. Baseball, softball field, basketball courts, areas for our children and the community to take advantage of. So that's my goal, to remove those trailers.
Question.
Thank you. Dawn, I had the occasion about 2010 to be a booster at Fairfield Elementary School through the Store Beneficial Club. I tutored the 3rd grade for 1 semester, and I'd been out of school 45 years. And I found school was completely different than what when I attended school, as obviously should have been. But what I noticed was that children in education now have progressed to the technical age, where the kids don't have what we had, if in fact we had anything, is that they don't have skills anymore. Do they still have homeroom class? Do they still have technical skill classes? They teach them to the test, but they don't learn anything else. We took shop, we took automobile mechanics, we took visual aid, we took all kind of things that we could use. But these kids there, they teach them strictly to the test. They don't know anything about how many young women, young girls there know how to sew or do anything.
So, thank you, and to answer to your question, yes, we still have homeroom, and the sewing, those are courses that fall under family and consumer sciences. We don't call it home ec anymore. For family and consumer sciences and computer classes, visual aid, visual design. So we have a lot of those classes at the Richmond Technical Center. We have Auto Tech, and go by and visit the Technical Center, because there are some amazing programs that's being offered at the Technical Center. We just have, and that's one of our initiatives. I've talked to the superintendent. We have to do a better job in promoting the Technical Center, because we all know college is not for everyone. I know people that have vocational jobs making more than me. I'm like, I should have majored in a vocational job versus what I'm doing. But our children have to have options, and we have to make those options available to them. So, to your question, yes. But I stated to you about technology, our infrastructure, because the lack of funding, that needs to be addressed. And that's in one of the line items in the budget to address that, but it's not going to take care of it all, because this is years and years of neglect. And hold me accountable, and I'm going to do my best to keep fighting for our kids.
All right. And, excuse me, Mr. Vaughn. I must say this to you, and Don knows. I want everybody to keep in mind that each school has its own personality. So just don't say, I was here and I only saw that. I was an elementary teacher for a long, long time. I taught in the East. Those teachers over there overworked. They do lots of things. Don't let it fool you. They go on many field trips, expose the children to a lot, and use a lot of their own talents to have other things going on. Like you mentioned, sewing, cooking, and everything depends on the building and the needs that you see. Okay, so don't box it in. Then on the other piece, we have a lot of young teachers coming up, and they have to grow in their skill also. Okay, the older ones are leaving and have left, and they have to learn how to integrate a lot of things on their own. One small example, cursive writing. Now usually, because of the computer age, they don't stress the cursive writing like they used to. We had cursive writing handbooks. They didn't have them anymore after I left. So a lot of that is based on individuals horning into their profession also. Okay, so visit some more.
And our children, they learn differently, because this is the age of computer technology, but also we have to understand some of our kids are coming to school hungry. Their best meal is in school, breakfast and lunch. And we don't know what has happened prior to them coming to school, and we don't have any control over it. And in most cases, they may not be in the state of mind to learn. But that's not to say that they can't. We just got to make sure that the support and resources are in place to ensure their success.
Don't let me say one more thing, and I'll be finished. May I bring up a good point? When I tutored the third grade in 2010, I believe it was, we went on many field trips to the White House. And we went to Virginia State, and I learned something there at Virginia State that I never knew or never even thought of. I know Virginia State was an agricultural school, but I didn't know they had fishing and animals and all these stuff. We were fishing, and they have ponds where they raise fish. And you could actually fish in these different ponds. And it was fascinating. They have all kind of animals. And I never knew that. It's not the fact that if I did, I didn't. But, you know, we went to Browns Island. I mean, we wrote all of, we had to be put in for security to go to the White House. And you put your name and do the FBI check and all that kind of thing. The White House is a very fascinating place to visit. Not only the White House, we went to the King Center there. We went to we toured D.C. We went so far and walked so long that these things are fascinating. Very fascinating. History is a fascinating subject.
Don, quick answer. Within your phase one, you were saying that the schools give raises to teachers and even the cafeteria workers. Does the cafeteria workers fall under Richmond Public School, or are they a private?
Full-time staff.
Full-time staff? Because, you know, during the day when we went to school, we had people that came there to cook our food. We didn't have this a la carte stuff that came and everything. So have they looked at that, you know, since a lot of kids are, you know, the only meal they get is breakfast and lunch, can they do something better than the a la carte lunches to give them more proteins and all? To actually have the food cooked there at school?
So we have a federal grant that our students, all students, whether you're on elementary, middle, high, receive free breakfast and lunch. Excuse me. So,
I mean, that's fine and dandy, but I'm talking about the food itself.
right, that's what I'm saying. We have a federal grant that provides the food for our students, and so the food is supposed to meet FDA federal regulation guidelines. But our children, they have different
Eating habits.
eating habits.
when
They
you look at
prefer
it, if you're not
pizza,
used to eating it,
do not prefer sweet fruit.
you're not gonna eat it.
Ms. Page, I want to say this before we close out. I want to thank everyone who came out this morning to sacrifice your time, your precious time, to share with us your thoughts. Now, we're very sorry the politicians didn't show up, but that's on them. But I think that the conversation we've had this morning was moving, much needed. And I'm going to say this, I was born 1936. The school system has changed tremendously, and thank God for that. Because I was in elementary and middle school, we had books that didn't have pages. We've come a long ways, and we've got a long ways to go. And I feel that what we need to do as today and going forward is support our schools, support our representative who has done a tremendous job keeping us informed of what is needed in our schools. And God knows our schools need a lot. And they need our support, more than just a lip service.
Yes.
We need to physically go out into these schools and give them support, the kids support. We'd be surprised what these kids need and what they want. If we're there to show them support, they will go every mile of the way that's needed towards graduation. And I want to thank you again for being the representative that you have shown us a representative can be. Thank you so very much.
So one more assignment. If you have free time, volunteer in the schools. Read to a child. Blackwell has a piloted reading literacy program. volunteer. There's much we can do in our schools. Again, thank you. Thank you for your support.
Let's give Ms. Dawn Page another round of applause. I want to echo what Amy and Ms. Hyder said. Did you notice that Dawn did not dodge any questions? She answered your questions. That's the type of representative that we're looking for and that we need to have. So thank you, Dawn, again for that, and thank you all for those questions. I have some announcements, if I can find it. Don's got the paperwork all mixed up. Well, I know what they are, so I'm just going to go off the top of my head. It is right here. On June 19th, you can reach out to Vivian Richardson about this. We have DIMS on tap. That's going to be at the Pits. It's a place off of Broad Rock, and this is where the Democrats get together and we get to socialize and talk. So this, we really would like your support. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Vivian Richardson. Also, there is a RCDC meeting the first Thursday of each month, and we have the focus group. We want to know how you want to handle this focus group. It's something that we want to continue to do. We want to make sure it grows. You have the opportunity to speak. If you're one of those people who do not want to speak, apparently everyone in here are not afraid to speak today, but we will make sure that your politician, our politician, my politician, understand what's going on. We will take the message to them, and we will beat the doors down until they show up, where we can look at them eye to eye and say, this is what we need. We really appreciate you coming out today. Hopefully you signed in the back. We really would like your contact information. We'd like to know what precinct you're in. Not that we're going to bug you, but we may ask you to volunteer because we need to support this district. The 8th district lacks a lot of resources, and as you all know, so we definitely want to make sure everything is taken care of. Are there any other questions or something that I left out before we end this focus group meeting? Anything? Yes.
Usually I don't ever say anything. I just want to say to the 8th District Focus Group, you're a great group. Do not be discouraged. You need to continue on. I don't care who gets elected for the council or whatever. This is not a dictatorship. You have the right to remain. And you can remain regardless of who is our representative. This is the 8th District Focus Group. Nobody has a stamp on it, okay? And I may tell you, I'm very disturbed that none of them showed up, but that's okay. You needed this time to be together, to air out. So you all should grow your group or whatever you're gonna do, but this is your group. This is our group. And that's it. I don't care who runs and gets it. You are independent of them. Everybody agree with that? Okay.
Well, thank you, Ms. Wilson, because we need to take control of our destiny.
Yes.
And to have representation is what we need, and we should work forward to that. And do not be afraid. This is a democracy. Everybody has a chance to do whatever they see fit they want to do. And we aren't supposed to hold against each other because we decide to exercise our right in a democracy. Don't forget that in the focus group is not a political group. It's a group for the 8th District to address concerns and issues without being confrontational. We can debate but not argue. We need to have more debates, and debating is healthy for everyone. If you understand where I'm coming from and where I'm going, this is needed.
Absolutely. Amy?
So if you have anybody that you know that would be a good fit for an engagement opportunity in the 8th District, we fought for them to pay people in the 8th District to organize engagement events for folks to be able to respond to the Richmond 300 planning. So they're doing the master plan right now. A lot of you probably know about it, for the next 30 years up until 2037, I believe, which is our 300-year anniversary of the city of Richmond. And they want to hear folks from the 8 districts input. And we told them that if you want to get people organized in the 8 district, then you need to pay folks. So if you know somebody who is looking for additional work or wants to organize some events with Olivia and I, we'd be glad to work with you and get you some coins in your pocket.
So we can contact you.
You can contact me, that's correct. Or Olivia, she's our other 8th district representative on the Richmond 300.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, I want to thank our Mr. Graham.
Yes,
Mr.
thank you.
Absolute representative.
Well, just before you finish, we're live streaming,
Oh,
and we have 65 people that signed in and watched this broadcast.
That's great.
And Ms. Dawn Ruth Davis, I don't know if you know her, she said, good job. She said, good job.
Thank you. This is the end of our meeting, but if we show up, change will come.
yes.
Have to show up. Thank you.